If he can push himself to do 1 or 2 extra reps in the gym, then he can push himself to do 1 or 2 more phone calls.
Masterful Leaders for men building business, family, and self. Hosted by Shimshon Meir Frankel.
Our guest today is Greg Newlands, a specialist who helps ambitious, driven men rebuild their bodies and confidence after letting their fitness slip. Greg is the creator of Performance Tuning Method, a system designed to make physical transformation fit into the reality of a high-performance life. Travel, business dinners, and busy schedules included. Rather than demanding life be put on hold for a restrictive diet, Greg focuses on simple, reliable systems that allow men to reach the best shape of their lives without starting and stopping when life gets in the way. He joins us to discuss how to audit your life, build sustainable systems, and stay focused on winning, even through recovery and high-stressed phases. Greg, welcome to Masterful Leaders.
Thank you, man. I love the introduction, and I'm glad to be here.
Let me just ask you a question about your audit, because I think everyone's going to really want to know exactly what that is. You start every transformation with an audit of how a person eats, trains, and travels. What is the most common leak you find in the schedules of ambitious men that once fixed makes fat loss feel inevitable?
I see the same problems repeat. One is trying to change too much too soon. So they've already got a busy life, and then they try and change their food, they try and change their schedule, and it works for a certain period of time, maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, but it demands so much time and attention and headspace, it's impossible to be consistent for a prolonged period of time. And the people that we work with are trying to go from their biggest or close to it to the best shape of their life. They need to be consistent for a period of 6 months. The other problem that I see is people really under-eating protein. Protein is a nutrient that speeds up fat loss. It helps with the recovery. It also fills us up so we don't feel like snacking. So this is another thing. Other problems is trying to do things that are extreme. Cutting out their favorite foods, cutting out social situations. This impacts enjoyment of life. And these things work in the short term, but it's impossible to sustain forever. So we want to have a plan where people have things they enjoy, but in the right quantities. And then the final thing that I see, it kind of goes in line with doing too much, and it is people committing to extreme fitness plans or challenges. 75 Hard is a very famous one. These types of challenges demand so much time and attention and energy, and if someone's already busy, it's impossible to sustain for a certain amount of time. So essentially what I see people do is getting short-term results, but then getting off track, and this just really crushes motivation and belief. So people then start to believe it's just not possible for them to be in shape, when actually it is. It's just the plan itself that was failing them, not them failing themselves.
Okay, so it really sounds like someone has to play a long-term game here.
Yeah, but when we set ourselves up for a long-term game, what we're actually doing is we are setting ourselves up to be consistent. So then we can lose body fat consistently week after week after week. Whereas what the fitness industry has normalized is crash diets or these fast extremes that lose lots of weight in a couple of weeks, but then it all comes back. So if we actually zoom out over a 6-month period, if we're consistent week after week, we can get into the best shape of our life. But if we make fast progress, then get off track, we're always back at square one.
What about this idea that seems to be prevalent, that everybody has a different body set and they need to eat very particular things in order to build muscle and to lose fat? Is there some truth to that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. What comes to mind when you ask that is we have to have some fundamentals in place to lose body fat. So the quantity of the food that we eat dictates if we lose fat, if we stay the same, or if we gain weight, if we add fat. So if we're eating too many calories, we'll gain weight. If we eat slightly less, we'll actually lose weight. So that we have to control that metric. And the second thing is protein. We need to eat protein for the reasons I said. Now, depending on different people have different preferences of food, different types of protein they like. And so it then becomes a case of, we know the numbers that they need to hit, and then the actual types of food or the types of protein they can have a variety that suits them.
How long people carry this calorie deficit for, and how quickly does it take? How quickly can people get comfortable? Do they feel hungry?
What we like to do with clients is have a small calorie deficit. This means that they're losing body fat, but at the same time they can still eat a lot of food. So the problem that people make is, or the mistake people make is, they will cut calories significantly so they feel hungry. And so then people are looking for their diet to finish, to go back to a normal life so they can eat the food that they want, right? Whereas if we just have a small calorie deficit where we eat slightly less, we can still feel full. We can still enjoy our food, but we're also losing body fat. So now with, this was what we do in the initial audit call with our clients. We'll understand how many calories they need, how much protein they need, and then how are they currently eating so we can make the numbers fit their life.
What always bothered me is the word diet. It's like it was misappropriated. What I eat normally is my diet, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Somehow they turned it into an industry.
Yeah.
Today we call it a fad diet.
Yeah.
What you're a proponent for is a standard diet, all types of food, whatever people like to eat. They just have to be a little bit under their normal calorie intake, and slowly that just burns away the fat.
Exactly. It's the quantity of food is what dictates fat loss. So me, for example, I love desserts. That's my thing, right? So I will have maybe 2 desserts at a weekend with my partner. So I enjoy my week, I enjoy my time with her, but I make sure that fits within my calories. So imagine, what I say to clients is, imagine having your budget, imagine it's your bank account. You know what you have in your bank, therefore you know what you're going to spend. What we want to do is spend most of that budget on the important things, so proteins and these types of foods, which is essentially like your rent and anything like that. And then the fun stuff that we want to spend our calories on, maybe some alcohol or maybe some dessert or sugar, these types of things. That's spending your money on luxuries. That's how I like to explain it. So we want most of our budget to be on healthy stuff, let's call it 80%, but then you can have 20% on things you enjoy. And as long as that's the right quantity every day, you will lose body fat and be enjoying the food that you eat. And I would just add to that, it just comes down to being realistic. We don't ever tell clients that they have to cut out food groups or they don't have to cut out alcohol. But of course, if they are drinking lots of alcohol, it's going to slow their progress. So naturally, people are sensible. So maybe instead of a client having 2 or 3 drinks or a drink every night of the week, maybe they have drinks 2 nights of the week, that type of thing.
What type of impact does the circles that we hang around in, meaning that if we're used to hanging out with friends, going out the weekends, going to, all you can eat bars, how does a guy handle that?
Yeah, we are the quotes that we are the average of the 5 people around most, right? That always comes to mind. Yeah, it's super important. I see it with clients that are on a fitness journey and their partner is on a fitness journey, how much more consistent they are because the household is supportive. And when it comes to friends, it's the same thing. If you're in an environment where your friends are also trying to get into shape and feel confident and comfortable and good, then their decisions are going to impact your decisions. Whereas if you're with friends and they're saying, go on, have a drink, or eat that food, it's okay, it becomes harder because they're influencing you in a different direction. So truly, when you are trying to get into shape or the best shape of your life, or simply just losing body fat, it certainly helps to surround yourself with 1 or 2 people that are aligned. whether that's a coach, whether that's a friend who is consistent, whether that's a family member, just going to the gym with that person or going to fitness classes with that person, or simply just doing sports or activities with that person certainly will help.
How much time should a person really dedicate to doing fitness, like during the week, in order to not just burn that fat, but to become more healthy, much more confident? And when they build that level of confidence, how does that affect their relationships at home, with their partner, with their kids?
Yeah, two very good questions. I feel the first one, if someone is going from a start point or just getting back into it, literally, I like to say just to move every day, whether that's a 15 or 20 minute walk or a 15 or 20 minute cycle, whatever they enjoy. For me, I like to walk. So I obviously walk more now, but if someone's getting into it, just going for doing some steps every day, just moving the body. Not only will they help to lose fat, but also it just is good for the mind. We can think, we can process, we can relax. So that's good for overall holistic health as well. And then when it comes to actual exercise, 2-3 times a week to begin with is enough to get someone making progress, moving their body, building muscle if that's what they're aiming to do. We like to advise with our clients to lift weights because most of them are over 40. So what we want is to have muscle mass on the body so they feel strong. It helps as they get older. It helps with their metabolic rate, so they burn more body fat just sitting at their desk all day. It means they can eat more food and keep the weight off. So there's lots of advantages to having muscle. So we always like to advise at least 2 workouts per week, and then maybe one of the workouts, the third, is something they enjoy. Martial arts, like I know you do, or a sport, for example, or a run, something like that. But to answer your question, 3 a week is a great start. And then the impact that it has, wow, so many I've seen with our clients. Wow, so many of them just tell me how they're feeling the best they've felt in 20, 25 years. Confidence. I've got clients who started podcasts because now they're more confident to put themselves out there. They're taking bigger action in their businesses. When it comes to their relationships, maybe they were single or they just had a divorce and now they're starting to date again or meet new women, so they feel confident with that. Other ones just feeling more energy and in a better mood for their family, for their children, or doing more with their family and their children because they've got a better level of fitness. Feeling like a leader to their family, feeling like more masculine and more empowered in their relationship. There's a whole host of things that I've seen, and it just impacts every area of life. If I know for myself, if I wake up on a morning and I look in the mirror and I feel healthy and fit and good about myself, when I start work, I feel good. When I speak to my girlfriend when she gets out of bed and I'm in a good mood, then the day is positive. As opposed to if I was just feeling bad about myself, my mind, my energy, everything is different. So I truly feel like it's one of the biggest and most powerful things we can have for ourselves in our life.
A lot of founders, operators, they have this incredible skill. They're able to embrace resistance. And I always hear about resistance training. Do you think there's a parallel there?
Yeah, I do. There's a speaker that I like to listen to. He's called Ed Milet. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's American. And one of his videos, he always says, if he can push himself to do 1 or 2 extra reps in the gym, then he can push himself to do 1 or 2 more phone calls or 1 or 2 more emails, right? And it's the same. I always think about myself. Sometimes in the gym, I have things that I don't want to do, or I have to do some more reps and I just don't want to. But I do because I'm disciplined with myself. And if I sometimes I'll then say to myself, if I can do that in the gym with a heavy weight, let's say a squat, I can do anything with my business because that's physically easy, right? So yeah, I do think there's a correlation, and I do think if we are pushing ourselves or just being consistent with the gym and pushing through that resistance, it shows our character, and we can then take that and do that in other areas of life. 100%.
Okay, do you see that being cross-pollinated into relationships as well? One more.
Yeah, I just think that I know for myself, if I keep the word to myself, and I do the thing that I wanted to do, I then have that self-respect, and I just know that I can then do that in everything. I just know that I just think it's a great feeling to be proud as a man when we do the thing we wanted to do. Whether that's doing those extra reps, making that extra phone call in business, sending out an extra email, keeping our promise to our partner, showing up and doing the things we said with her, leading by example, thinking about her. Yeah, I just think it all goes hand in hand. And I do think that if we are feeling good about ourselves, of course, our partner is the one that is impacted by that the most, because they're the one we're around the most. And I like to think that, I just like to be fit and energized and feeling good, because I love my partner and I want to look after her as well and her feel good. So me being in a good headspace and empowered means I show up better for her.
And how about the other direction? You're a business owner. You know what the struggles are. What's it like to have a supportive partner there?
Wow, this is probably my favorite question that you asked. I feel it's game changing. I've been in two situations. My previous relationship, I was with a woman that I loved, but her lifestyle, she was a DJ, so didn't sleep at the same time as me sometimes in the week, and the lifestyle just wasn't a balance to mine. And I really saw how that threw me off. And now I've got a partner that has a business and she's super supportive and she gets it. And we're truly building a life together right now and aligned. And just having someone who is in your corner, who is supportive, who understands your situation and is there for you, I feel it's like adding a booster to a car. I really do. There's times where I'm tired, but I see her working in her business and it influences me in a positive way to keep going. Or maybe there's some times where I feel resistance to doing something in business or whatever it may be, but I see her trying, so it makes me want to do the same. And then I see her supporting me, and it just gives me that confidence and that belief to keep stepping up, to keep leveling up, and to keep growing emotionally and physically, and not physically, keep growing mentally, pushing through that comfort zone. So I do believe a woman can help us grow in a sense of personal growth immensely. It's incredible. I'm experiencing that now.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Turbocharged.
Yeah, I just feel like when you have the right woman, it's awesome. I remember years and years ago when I was in my mid-20s, I would hear men talk about they'd achieve something and then thank their partner and say that it was all for their partner. And I'm in my mid-20s and I'm single and I'm thinking, these guys are just saying that. But now I've lived that and I'm living that now. I get it. It's true. I see a great woman in our life being someone that can make us a great man. 100%.
Yeah. Behind every great man is an even greater woman, as they say. Yeah.
So true, man. I feel like when you have a great woman in your life who is there to support you, they will either directly or indirectly, with their actions or words, make you reflect on yourself and then grow from that. I see it. Yeah.
Do you see the opposite with your clients at times, where their partners becomes more of a liability, slows down their progress, makes it difficult for them to achieve their goals?
Yeah.
Their fitness goals, their diet, their...
Yeah, and as you know from your line of work and your expertise, you'll know that that's their partner maybe not feeling comfortable. Maybe their partner doesn't feel good about themselves, and then they see their husband getting in shape and feeling confident. Maybe they feel maybe something will happen, or he'll get more attention, or they're going to lose him at a subconscious level. And so self-sabotage comes in from their part. Let's go out for a meal, you can have a drink, you don't have to go to the gym so much. Those types of things. Yeah, and it's natural. I've seen that so many times, and that's where a man just has to be strong. But I also think a man can communicate with his partner and just say, look, this is who I want to be. It's making me happy. I'm showing up as a better version of you. And asking, look, do you feel uncomfortable? Or is this making you feel uncomfortable? And look, I'm here, I'm with you. Maybe reassuring them in that way. So yeah, communication is key in a relationship. But yeah, I do see that. And this is why I was saying about friends. Friends and stuff is important. Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, I was going to say that I see it, but the friends end up dropping the guy who's succeeding, who's building something big, and it seems like a certain level of jealousy. You know what jealousy really is? It's not that I want that too. It's I want that too, and I don't want you to have it. I want to be the one.
Yeah, I feel like it's built into us in human nature, and it's definitely something that we've got to reframe. This is why community is so important. On my fitness program with our clients, we have a community group, and in there it's just people sharing their food that they're eating, different maybe healthy snacks they've made, and you're just surrounded by other people who are losing weight, getting in shape and feeling good, and that certainly is helpful. I used to have gyms in England where we had fitness classes, and so that was the community. People would come and they'd make friends at the fitness classes, which is powerful, because then if they're getting negative influence at home, they're getting a positive influence 2, 3, 4 times a week in person. So yeah, I feel that some people like to be around the community, or some people like myself like to just have a friend and do that way. So I definitely think if someone can have a friend or a coach or a family member that is consistent with their fitness, it certainly will help being around that person.
Yeah, it's good to have a partner to, because some days you wake up, you're a little bit not interested, you're a little bit tired, and he calls you up and says, hey, let's go. Get out of bed. Let's attack it.
Yeah, I've never been in that situation where my partner hasn't wanted to exercise, because always my partners have gone to the gym, not to the same level as me, but they've been active. But I truly feel in life, as humans, we grow emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And I do think that I've seen this where people just grow apart. And one person maybe goes one way and the other person has different interests. And I've seen how that can cause problems. I like to think that all my life I will communicate with my partner, and hopefully we'll always be on the same page. So yeah, I do feel like communication is really important in a relationship to try and avoid that happening. Yeah.
Do you see yourself falling out of connection with friends over the years?
Because of fitness or in general?
Because of fitness.
For me, I don't think I fell out with friends. It's just I started to spend more time with friends who were more interested in fitness. I got into competitive bodybuilding, so then my world became that. And I would still see friends. I just wouldn't drink, and this is my mid-20s. So at first, obviously, they used to give me a hard time for that, not drinking. But after a while, they just accepted it, and I feel like my friends were great with that. And then years after, they started asking me for advice. And especially now, 10 years on, I'm mid-30s, my friends have been gaining more weight, not keeping it off like they used to. And so now they definitely ask me for advice. So, but I have seen with people that their friends have, given them a hard time. Especially I've seen this with clients in certain industries. So if I've had a few clients that were in construction, and I felt that those clients, there's a culture in those industries of maybe drinking, especially in England. So when my clients were not drinking, the other colleagues gave them a hard time. So yeah, this is again comes back to the point where we need to really put ourselves around people who are understanding and in line with our goals.
Do people come to you with those aesthetic goals? Like, I want to build a six pack. If they do you still take them through your standard program, your audit?
Yeah, we always go through our audit. So the audit now we've condensed. We audit them on a phone call, and we do this over. Sometimes it's 60 minutes, sometimes it's 90 minutes. We obviously have questions before they get on the call, and then what we do is we then build out a personalised blueprint for them. And then over the first 7 days, we'll see how that is for them, and we'll get feedback because we want to make sure it fits into their life and it's simple and sustainable for them. So everyone goes through the audit because we have to build a plan that is personalised for them, regardless if they want to lose £10, £20, £30, whether they're advanced or more getting back into it. Everyone needs a personalised plan, so everyone needs to be audited because everyone's got a different life. Everyone's got a different schedule. Everyone's got different food preferences. People sometimes have a home gym. Sometimes people go to a gym. People do different sports and activities. So everyone needs a plan that suits them. So the audit is always something that we do first.
You recently shared a story about a client who felt like he was failing because his weight wasn't moving after injury. So how do you help a high performer shift their internal metrics from all or nothing outcomes to small, winnable daily targets, like increasing steps from 5K to 6K to maintain their psychological momentum?
Yeah, really good question. I shared that on LinkedIn the other day, and I just had a call with him yesterday, and he's feeling loads better. So just for context, he lost 40 pounds in our program, and then he was bedbound for 4 months he injured his back, had to get a surgery. So he's working in his bed. So he gained that weight back, just feeling down and low in mood, obviously, and he couldn't walk, so he gained weight. And then so now he's wanting to lose weight and get that back off, but he's only able to walk 5,000 or 4,000 steps a day before his back hurts. Whereas prior to the injury, he was doing 10, 11,000. So he was doing double the amount of exercise. And then he's also been going out to restaurants that he'd not been able to go out to for 4 months. So he's been eating more food. So he was getting really annoyed with himself this last 2 weeks that he'd not lost weight. And I said, look, if we look at the statistics, this is the reason why you're doing half the exercise and you're eating more food. Right now, if we keep focusing on your weight, it's not going to change with the current lifestyle that you're living. So you're going to keep getting disheartened and feel like you're failing. And that's going to lead to you getting off track and probably stopping. Whereas let's focus on something that we can improve, something you do have control over, something you can get a win at. And so we decided to focus on steps because he was doing 4,500 on average steps per day. So we now increased that to 6,000. It means we worked it out, it's an extra 15 to 20 minutes of walking for him a day. But he can be consistent with that. He feels like he's winning, he's making progress. Also, the more steps he can do, it will start to help lower body fat. And what we're looking to do is get him back up to 10,000 steps. So over the next 2 months, the target is to go from 4,500 up to 10,000. And then he'll be back at his baseline. And just in doing that, it's keeping him positive, it's keeping him motivated. Because I also know that he's not going to want to go out to restaurants at the same amount of times he is doing at the moment. That novelty will wear off in a week or a month, whenever it is. And then so then when he starts to eat less food again, and he's doing 10,000 steps, you can see how progress will be rapid. But I just need to keep him positive in the moment and focus on what he can win at. So that's a tactic that we did. And it's the same for anyone listening. If focus on something you can win at, something that you can build momentum with, and then build momentum from there.
Let me ask you a philosophical question. So when somebody falls like that, I know he didn't ask for it, he had surgery and that's serious. But even if somebody doesn't have surgery, we often fall, right? We have some type of craving, or something pulls us away, and we kind of get stuck there for a little while. And you're a master of rebuilding confidence, and confidence builds confidence. When that person stands back up on their 2 feet, shows up 100%, gets all in again, are they going back to the person who they were before they fell, before they got tripped up? Or are they now an even stronger person? Are they building someone even greater?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, I'm thinking about my client who we just talked about with the back surgery. And I said that to him so many times. I said to him, look, when you're at your goal weight, when you're in the best shape of your life, you are going to be so much prouder because of all the adversity that you had to get through. And the strength of character. And I just said to him in the moment now, I said, look what you've come through, so you came through the worst, so you can keep going. So whether they feel that they're a different character, I certainly think that they can reflect back and be proud and know that they had to show so much strength to achieve what they did through the adversity. And I feel like that gives us a powerful way to look at our own self-image. Yeah. In my own life, just after the pandemic, I went through a life crisis myself. Just lots of challenges personally and professionally. And I had to rebuild myself over the past 3 years. Now I feel like I'm in a new chapter and it feels good. But truly, I learned so many different lessons, and I feel I'm not the same person. I'm a different version of me now, different mindset, different perspectives. And I learned a lot about myself and my strength of character, and I'm proud of that. So yeah, I choose to look at myself in a positive way through adversity that I came over. And I think we all can.
So that's a really big thing you're doing with your clients. You're upping their self-worth, their self-esteem, self-perception, and you're the perfect coach. Meaning the perfect coach is someone who had the same struggle. You went through hard times, and you learned how to get through it, and the skills to work through all the difficulty. And now you can teach it to anyone.
Yeah, I think being a good coach, this is my perception anyway, I always want to lead by example, and I like to share what I went through myself, because then I have the wisdom from that. And I know that when I was out of shape and I got into shape when I was 20 and then did bodybuilding competitions, then in that process realized it was so extreme and I couldn't continue that. And so I went to now this balanced approach that I teach. And then when I had hit rock bottom in only 2 years ago, 2024, and then rebuilt from that, I can teach from all that wisdom and share it, and I can help, and I feel motivated to help other people because I went through it myself and I know how it felt. And now I want other people to feel empowered and just great in life and about themselves.
So Greg, how can people get in touch with you to get involved in this long-term, more balanced approach that you're offering them?
Yeah, 2 ways. I have my LinkedIn, which has all my information, what we do, helpful posts, videos, client results. And then I also have a website that I can link in with this. And that's basically, we do essentially 1 week with people for free. And this is where we'll give them an audit, we'll give them a personalized plan, we'll support them for that first week. And then after that, we have a conversation. If it's going to be a fit, do we move forward, or if they go it alone? So I can give you that link, and if you want to put that into the description with this, that would be awesome. And people can book a direct call with me. No pressure, we just have a conversation.
On Masterful Leaders, we believe true success is built across every part of life, not just business. If this episode added value to you, subscribe, share it with someone you care about, and join us next time as we continue building the full package.